What's good? We back with the boxing clinic once again. Shout out to the LDBC and sizing up the Mayweather McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, August 26th undercard, and it resembles, it has a lot of TMT fighters on here, and let's talk about it for a minute. Now, it'd have been hard to find him an undercard that would have been worth $100. But people have to realize that people don't buy the fight for the undercard. People buy the fight for the main event. And when I talk about people, I'm talking about casual fans. And casual fans will eat this event up. They're going to order it. It's going to order for $100. Now, ticket sales might not be moving fast for the simple fact that you got to pay for flight, hotel, then Vegas is already an expensive city. Especially on the strip, I would guess. And then you got to pay all this money for an event. $500 or $1,000 for nosebleeds, and they significantly overpriced this fight. Now, an undercard that had been worthy of this, I don't even think that undercard that was on Canelo and Floyd Mayweather would have been worthy of this. Matisse and Danny Garcia, the highly anticipated fight on the undercard. Or the Berto Mayweather undercard that was simply amazing as well. It would have had to be a star-studded card, maybe a Garcia versus Sean Porter, a Tank versus maybe a Tevin Farmer, and then maybe Badu Jack versus Donnie Stevenson on the undercard, or possibly if they can get Anthony Joshua on the undercard as well, which he wanted to be on the undercard, but Eddie Hearn wasn't going to let that happen. Maybe that might have been worth $100 pay-per-view card. But the first fight I like Steve Cunningham out of Pennsylvania taking on Andrew Tabiti, Floyd Mayweather Sr.'s cruiserweight fighter who has a lot of speed, a lot of power. This would be a great stepping stone fight for Andrew Tabiti. I think Steve Cunningham can pull off the upset, if that is an upset. Cunningham is the more accomplished fighter. He's been in there with heavyweights, knocked down Tyson Fury. I think he beat Amir Mansour. I think he beat a world champion at cruiserweight. So it's going to be a good fight. I think this is a great way to open up the card. This is going to be a super fight. Tabiti is a beast. Good hand speed, good power. Seems to have good skills. A lot of people haven't seen him fight because cruiserweights usually don't get a lot of TV time in America. And I think this is a great makeup fight and exposure for him not getting into the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight tournament. Then the second fight, you got Nathan Creverly, who you might see get crushed by Sergey Kovalev a couple years back on his rise to light heavyweight supremacy, taking on Badu Jack in his light heavyweight debut, I believe. It's for the regular WBA title. I think Andre Ward holds the Super WBA title, which is recognized as the true champion. Too many title belts. But it's a good fight. That's all I can really say. Keverly is a solid fighter. I've seen him fight the guy that's in the World Boxing Super Series tournament. I think he had to retire the guy he fought. He was giving it to him. I ain't gonna lie. Cleverly looked like he got his wits about him back. Badu Jack, we gotta see how he looks at light heavyweight. He was knocked down by a journeyman at super middleweight. Said he couldn't make the weight no more after seemingly beating James DeGale in most people's opinion, which DeGale suffered for some injuries, for a couple of years, which he hasn't been his regular self. And Jack told him he can come up to 175 and get a rematch, even though, DeGale is recovering right now. This should be a great fight. I think it's another solid fight for the undercard. I think, just the simple fact that Jack is making his light heavyweight debut and then he gets to fight for a regular world title, I think is good publicity for this card. It's good exposure for Cleverly. I know he can turn down an opportunity to fight on this card, and also the winner of this fight has to enter negotiations with Demetrius Bevell by 9/11, which is a special day in America. We know why. I believe it's 9/11. They have to reach a deal or start negotiating by then. And Demetrius Bivol is a solid fighter on his uprise. I think he would beat Nathan Cleverly, but Badu Jack is probably a different question. You got to see how Jack looks at 175. Moving up in weight is it's crapshoot for some guys, depending on their body type and their skill level. And then you got Gervonta Tank Davis taking on Francisco, dude from Costa Rica. I'm not impressed with him. His resume is not indicative of an upper echelon or a future world champion in the sport of boxing. He's from Costa Rica. Seems pretty long. There's no height or reach advantage on this guy, but he seems pretty long. He seems to be aggressive, and he seems to be an easy knockout for Gervonta Tank Davis. This is a piss poor co-feature. Rocky Martinez was a piss poor co-feature. Tavon Farmer would have been a good one. He got shot in the hand, and he was talking about he didn't want to fight or he didn't want to be on the stage. And Orlando Salido would have been a perfect one, but it didn't happen. But it's okay. It's a solid card, but for $100, absolutely not. But we gone.